I finally got my hands on the Hoku wheels, and what shall I say? They are as good as I expected. Their build is very similar to the Karma wheels, so if you haven't watched my video on them, look at the description to go for my in-depth video with Jeff, where we talk about features like the core, the groove and so much more. You will also find a link in there, and with my code Michael5 you will get a discount at just passing through, so check that link out as well. But let's actually start to have a look at them and compare them to a couple of other bigger wheels. Today we are going to take a look at some wheels, mainly the Pantheon Karma wheels, the Pantheon Hoku wheels, and have a comparison to another big wheels, the orangutan dad boards. Let's start with the sizes. The Pantheon Karma wheels come at 92mm and have a 74A durometer. The Hokus are a little bit bigger, 102mm and 74A, so the same hardness. And the hardest wheel are the orangutan dad boards at 105mm and 80A. With wheels it's a little bit difficult. The durometer is not always the true durometer, but that's something for another video. So the biggest, the middle, but still pretty big, and the smallest wheel. Let's compare contact patch size. As you can see, the biggest contact patch goes to the dad board. And the Karma is a little bit, just a little bit, let me just put it in the middle, a little bit smaller than the Hokus. Let's give them a quick measure. So for the Karma wheels, we have, about this one, an inch. Then for the Hokus, we have this one, an inch. And at the last point, we have the dad boards, which have this one and an inch. Now let's actually weigh them. Let's start with the Karma wheels. 280 gram. The Hokus are at 377 gram. And the dad boards are at 424 grams. They're all pretty much on the heavier side. For comparison, I have a Kageyama wheel, and this one clocks in at 275. So imagine these wheels are equally as heavy, but this one is larger. But of course, a little bit smaller contact patch. Good. Now there is one more thing, which is the core center. When the center of the wheel is in the middle of it, so the core is in the middle of the wheel, whether you mount them from this side or from this side to a truck doesn't matter. But these are not center set, these are all offset, meaning that depending on how you mount them to the truck, they will behave differently, basically acting like a smaller or larger truck, depending on which side is on the outside. To demonstrate that, I have a hanger here. These are centimeters. So let's look at how they behave. But for that, I need to put in some bearings, so give me a second. So now we have some bearings in place. Let's actually have a look. Let's start with the smallest wheel. You see that there is a little spacer integrated into the axle. So you probably have to add like 3 to 4mm, but that's just it. We always start with the backside first. This one just adds less than a centimeter in here, probably like 0.7. And when we flip that wheel, we are over a centimeter. Let's go with the Hoku next. This one on the main position, it's like 0.8 or 9 even. When you flip this one, it's way over 1 and nearly at 1.5mm. 15mm of course. And now for the biggest one, the dad board, it's about a centimeter, but when you flip it, it's nearly 2 centimeters. So this one actually gives you a lot of options, and you will feel that the most when flipping it. One thing that you immediately recognize is that all of those have this groove in the back. When you press that in, you can feel that your orangutan wheels actually have the biggest one, and you can, despite being the hardest wheel in theory, press that in the farthest. Then we have the Hokus. And at the stiffest, we have the Karmas. But the main question is, how do they feel? For pushing, it is incredible that they are that light at that size. They accelerate incredibly fast and seem to hold speed very well. I'm not gonna lie, at that size, 102mm, they seem to outperform every other wheel I have. For pumping, the grooves make the inner lip actually pretty soft, so you won't feel like losing too much traction when pumping. The acceleration makes it easy to get up to speed and hold it, so that is pretty fine. But I would say they are a rather push-focused wheel, while they also pump very well. If you do more pushing, they will be just fine for you. Overall, my first impression is that they seem to be pretty good. But of course, that needs much more further testing. My next goal is to look at boards that can run them almost stock. I'm looking especially at the Pranayama, the Bandito with the lap skate trucks, and the Supersonic. So stay subscribed for those videos. I hope this one helped you and see you in the next one. Bye!